Hello and welcome to another episode of Page Burners. We're working our way through the Malazan books in publication order by both authors. We're currently on House of Chains, reading chapters 16 through 19 this week. That's what we're going to talk about today. If you'd like to join us for these discussions on the forum, please check out the Patreon forum. We have threads up there for weekly discussions for whatever chapters you're reading that week. I think that's everything. We will be reading Midnight Tides after this. We're coming up near the end of this book. After this will be Midnight Tides, and I think there's a Bockelane and Corbel-Broach book after that before we finally start some Esselmont too. But with me, of course, we have the usual group of friends to talk about today's chapters meanwhile, and we'll go around introducing ourselves and also talk about what we're most excited to discuss today. I'm Varsha. I run the YouTube channel Reading by the Rainy Mountain, and I am going to make Carl mad by picking what I'm pretty sure is going to be his topic, Joyful Union.
Hater energy. I come in here with the name Joyful Union's #1 fan, and this is what you do to me.
Clawmaster was robbed. I
get to go first, so...
We're such good friends.
We're such good friends. All
Let me
right.
take the knife out of my back. For Carl.
Yes. So, that's all. Steve.
Anything for the adjunct.
Yeah. I'm Steve from Page Chewing, and it's my second time reading this book. And on this read, especially chapter 17, I wonder, is he growing as a person and as a character? Is he becoming more self-aware, or is he merely becoming more powerful?
All of the above. Maybe. We'll talk
So
about it.
is he growing through power, or is he growing because his worldview is expanding, or both? I'll pass it on over to Shannon.
Shannon.
Thanks, Steve. I'm Shannon, and I think there's a couple things I really want to talk about, but I guess, yeah, right. Sticking with chapter 17, I think the stuff that Karsa and the renegades, the rebels, or whoever they are, his gods, when they're talking about the greatest of all truths and victory over death and the meaning of gods and order versus chaos and all that, I thought was a really interesting conversation. So, Dan, you want to go?
What? What are you talking about?
Introductions.
Sorry. I thought you were already well past that.
No,
yeah, for those listening, Dan just appeared. He kind of jump scared us, and yeah, this is where we are.
Shannon's like, here's the ball, run. Like, what?
Yep.
Okay. So what do I want to talk about? Oh shit! I thought I had already skipped this part and then didn't prepare my homework. Maybe just Leo Man, just because he's pretty cool. I like his part a lot in these chapters, and I don't know. It's a bit of a contrast, him compared to almost everyone else in the apocalypse, which seems to be not very nice people. He seems to somewhat have a moral compass, but then I don't know why he's fighting for the apocalypse, I guess.
And Carl, you've had plenty of time to find a replacement for your topic.
Yeah, I thought I was Joyful Union's #1 fan, but now I guess I'm not. I'm having a bit of an identity crisis, because if you ain't first, you're last. So I guess I'm going to have to regress and go back to being Lorik's #1 fan, and that'll be my entire identity.
Okay.
And I guess I'll talk about my king, my captain, my hero, Lorik, who is perfect and has no flaws and is better than stupid scorpions.
No, Carl. That's just sour scorpions for you.
I don't know what
Wait,
you're
is
talking
it
about.
sour grapes or bitter grapes? Never mind.
Sour grapes.
Okay.
Why do you like him so much?
Because he's dope. I don't know. Why don't you like him?
Is he? I don't know. It's not this discussion. Actually, I think it was the previous chapters that it was not part of a discussion. But when he was like, he didn't go to Felisin, telling her what Bidditel did to Felisin, I was like, I don't know if I like that very much.
As opposed to Leoman, who is an ultra cynic and was the first person to figure out Bidithal was gonna do what he did to Felisin the Younger, and did absolutely nothing about it other than tell Haboric. Who even knows?
No, I agree.
Whose side he's on. But
no, I think
so. I talked about this a little bit, actually, maybe a lot bit. I don't remember, a fair amount last week, and some people were not present to hear me be extremely eloquent and charismatic as I described my immense adoration for Lorik. But basically, it just comes down to the fact that he's really mysterious. He likes animals. He has a familiar, he's doing scheming. He seems to be the only decent, schemer among all of the rebellion crew. He's well, at least half Teist Leosin, making him currently the only Leosin we know who doesn't suck. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Fair enough.
So,
I'll just
the
say
criteria seems to be sucks less than other people of his group.
Absolutely. Everything is comparative.
Okay.
And that's the war we're fighting here.
Carl, you always forget to mention your book during your introduction.
I did write a book. It's called
No Big Deal.
Lorik is the best. And you should all worship at his feet, as I do. I believe he's selling his bathwater now, so you can look into that.
Has an OnlyFans account.
He does, and I am the only fan on that account, apparently.
So Carl wrote a book. It's called Truth of Crowns. It is a epic fantasy book with lots of tragedy, characters doing awful things to each other, lots of lore and world building, and lots of tragedy and grief and more tragedy. And awful things happening to characters you like.
There are no scorpions in it, so you know it's good.
Yeah, so it is in the description. So everyone, if you like fantasy books or anything I described, go check it out. It is well worth your time.
Steve's being nice and plugging my book. Carl. When I am just being fucking Pennywise right now. I don't know why. I think it's because Varsha ruined my day by stealing my thing.
I'm sorry, Carl. You can talk about Joyful Union. That's fine.
No, it's over now, and I'm grieving, and you have to respect my grief.
Okay. I'll make it up to you next week. I'll let you have my topic. Okay.
I don't want your handouts.
Jeez. There's no moving past this, huh? All right. Let's try. Steve, do you want to talk about your Karsa thing? I think it's chapter 16. Wait, what did we read? Yeah, chapter 17.
17, right?
Was a Karsa chapter, right?
Yeah.
We did Karsa, the apocalypse, and then Tabor's army. Okay, yeah. Right, so let's do your thing.
I guess it's a good place to start with it being chapter 17. Yeah, I love Karsa, his story. So I think there's a few different things here. One of them is he's all by himself, and it seems like he's been isolated from the group, from his people, the people he started his journey with. And I can't think of many other characters who have been isolated the way he's been. for as long as he's been isolated. Seems like everyone else has someone around them at some like someone helping them or assisting them or someone with them. So I think it's why is Karsa alone so much? And then I wondered if is he growing in a bubble where he's becoming more powerful, or is he really growing and evolving as a person, as a character?
Do
As is he? You know.
do
So
you
yeah,
think the
just
ghosts
throw it
are
out there.
not actually ghosts and that they're like a figment of his imagination?
I'm not sure.
I mean, that's fair. Like, that's
Yeah.
not like that wasn't like a leading question or anything. Like,
No.
I'm curious because it's not something I thought about, but I mean, it definitely could be true. I mean, no one else sees them, so who knows?
Mappo that does though.
Oh,
Hmm.
he does, doesn't he? That's right.
Yeah.
So the ghosts have to be at least somewhat real.
Yeah, that's true.
Mappo doesn't. I think someone else sees it too. I forget who. And
Yeah, someone else hears them or sees them. Yeah.
I kind of want to think they have a physical. as- I mean, if they exist, they have a physical presence, right? Not quite in the way we mean physical, but that they exist and are not just a figment of his imagination because of the way the sword was forged.
Oh,
Like he's
Well,
literally sort of stolen them from Hood, and they're okay with it.
I feel like in the Malazan universe, belief has a lot of power, and so if he like really believes the souls of his buddies were in the sword, I think that would like enchant it anyway. I would argue. I mean, I agree that I think that they are the actual ghosts of his dead buddies. I mean, that's I've been reading that, like, just assuming that, I took that at face value. But I think it's possible that someone could just believe in a sword so much that they make it magical in this universe.
That
And
makes
we can
sense.
also
But Mhm.
mention
Go ahead,
how
Sean.
original Karsa is with his sword naming when he names his sword Baroth Delum.
Yeah, that did
There's
crack me up.
His
there's
mighty sword.
Jagnipur and grief and vengeance, and then there's Berodillo, which
Baroth Delum.
maybe in the Toblakai language means something
Well, if you don't know what it
phenomenal.
means, it's just a name. Like, it's okay. If you don't
That's
realize
true.
it's just
Okay.
the first names of his two friends.
Yeah, it is pretty cool though. I like the way he honored them. But going back to what you said just a second, Carl, the power of belief, not quite about the sword, but to Steve's question about is Karsa becoming more powerful in a bubble. So you know how we talked about belief causes ascendancy, like other people knowing and becoming aware of someone's power. Do you just what you said made me think, does Karsa's belief in himself, is that so enormous that he's now starting to ascend? Like is he an ascendant now? Like I mean everybody else does too because of all the things he's accomplished so far. But if you think about his journey, he had Talem and Berot witness how amazing he is and doubt him and then be cured of their doubt. But that's about the extent of it. It didn't go to he can do anything, like wield a giant whatever 7-foot sword, um and then kill his gods and so on. So and after that he got enslaved twice, and then he's just sort of living a quiet life and finding his creative side and whatnot. So it's not like his ascendancy is coming from other people's belief in him. So is it just he himself that's doing that?
I do think that there is some truth to that his willpower is so great that it actually empowers him. And it is tied into that, belief is power theme of it all. However, the crippled god and the seven clearly have imbued him with some power. Like that we know as early as like
Hmm.
when they're first introduced,
Hmm.
that he was kind of picked as their champion and now is being invited to become the Knight of Chains. So I don't think it's entirely him. However, he is certainly unruly and refuses to abide by their chains, so to speak.
Yeah, that I forgot about the giving power part.
I'm very curious what Dan and Shannon have to say about this, but I'll just briefly. I don't remember, Steve, if you were around for last week when I went on my little Karsa soapbox talking about how I think he's going to be like one of the characters Erikson is remembered for.
Yeah, I
And then I
remember
think
that. Yeah.
he might be okay. So I do think he's changing. I think because he's not very introspective, it's not immediately clear in what ways he is changing. But I do think the Karsa we know now is very different than the Karsa we met at the beginning of House of Chains, or even the Karsa that existed as this almost like strange, foreboding giant in Dead House Gates.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. He seemed a lot more, maybe somewhat more cruel and more stupid in a sense every time. But maybe it's more just like he just did not have the experience of the world and the variety of cultures that he does now, right? Which again is a good commentary on normal people. And it's like maybe they're not stupid; they just don't haven't met many different people. But yeah, I think he is different now. And he seems to be somewhat more compassionate, in a sense, than before. Especially when he helped. Yeah, he helped that. God, what's the name of the people?
Jagged.
The woman. Yeah,
Jagged. Yeah.
the jagged woman, right? Huh.
I think
Yeah.
it's. I don't want to go too far, and I do want to hear what Shannon has to say. But while this is in my brain, to go off, Steve, you're asking like, is it just his new experiences that are changing him, or is it this bubble of power that's developing? I mean, I think it's both. I think Karsa is unique in that it's not just that he's doing the classic hero's journey of going out into the world and having his new experiences change him, but I also think very literally his experiences with power are humbling him and making him more aware of how things work and how he relates to other people and the world around him. He's not changing quickly, mind you, but I do think power is not corrupting him. I believe actually quite the opposite, that the power is humbling him. Okay, Shannon, go ahead.
I mean, I think he is changing a little bit. Not a whole lot. I think it has more to do with maybe like what Dan was saying, like he's meeting new people, he's in different, he when he was just living with his tribe, he acted like all of them and they're pretty awful. And then now that he's come across, originally he thought the Malazans were awful, but he since this book expressed said, actually I think they have a better sense of justice than a lot of other people do. So I do think he somewhat is growing and changing, but I do think in some ways he is still fundamentally the same person. I think he's still prone to making, like rash pledges, I mean, that's one thing, Jakarium is now his enemy just because he made a pledge on it. So it's true.
He's very violent.
Yeah.
He's
Why did
still,
he
that's
fight
like
the
his
carrion
instinct.
last time? I didn't. Was there a reason, or just because?
Little column A, little column B. I mean, I think it comes down to Ikarian figured out because he was Mappo briefly mentions this, but
Right.
Karsa is wearing the skin of a bear. That bear was a soul taken that he killed. That
Sure.
soul taken was apparently friends with Ikarian. So Ikarian sees that and thinks, I want to kill this person because he killed my friend. And Karsa, being Karsa, is like, screw it, I want to fight this guy because he's really powerful, and I would never back down from a fight. And his answer is still to, you know, whip out his sword rather than like actually trying to have a conversation with someone.
Mm. I get.
All the
He just wants
innuendo
to see who's
intended.
stronger, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
He's like an anime character. I love that about him.
Fair enough.
It's so funny to me that Erikson is on record as like having no experience and not really having watched any anime or read any manga, and yet his series has so many classic like tropes from like that you don't see in like Western fantasy. It cracks me up. I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, any other thoughts on your end about all that?
No, just curious what everyone thought, because I started to wonder that during chapter 17 when he makes the decisions he makes these decisions almost in a bubble. You know, the things that he does is kind of off the cuff, whatever he feels like in the moment, or whatever he thinks is the right thing to do, I should say.
Yeah.
So no, I think think he's becoming, obviously he's changed a lot since the beginning of the book. And I do like the conversation he had with about, you know, the kids that were, the kids are happier that we took them. And that whole section I thought was really fascinating. So yeah, I have it kind of seemed differently now as we go. He's been evolving, but I wondered if why he's evolving, or what's kind of pushing him forward.
Yeah. I don't know. I think one part is definitely like his curse, I guess. So all the
Yep.
people following him, I think that's definitely changing him. And his other two Toblakai friend, they're like I don't want to say the angel and the devil on his shoulder, but a little bit. They're like sort of giving him advice, and they're little parts of his personality almost at this point.
Yep.
So I think that's definitely helping him have a bit more depth, I guess, and different perspective, it seems.
I want to get a little more specific about. I mean, it's hard to talk in detail about Karsa, just because there's a lot I know about his character that we have not experienced yet. But I want to address very specifically what I was like arguing earlier, that power is part of the equation here, and actually power is not corrupting him but humbling him. He is getting stronger. Like I don't really feel that is debatable. I mean, we've all kind of said that. Like Varsha, you talked about, you know, questioning whether it's just his belief in himself that is pushing him forward, and I think there's some truth to that. I mean, he is like a force of nature. He just like keeps coming up against obstacles and finding a way to push through them. And I mean, he fails. He has his moments. You know, Mappo knocks him out. He gets enslaved multiple times. You know, he loses battles. The Watcher guy, knocks him out, like punches him and like breaks a bunch of his ribs. But this is tied into the experiences, right? Like, it's not like power exists in a vacuum. It's very much in relation to how he interacts with the world. And I think you see, like, coming out of his interactions with the Malazans, or his interactions now with the Jagged woman, or Silver Lake. That's the name of the town. That's what I was searching for. That he sees very directly the consequences of his violence. And I don't think that he actually seeks to redeem himself for that, but I do think he internally grapples with that. And so while oftentimes characters will get more powerful and that power will corrupt them and pervert their intentions, I actually think that Karsa, because his relationship with strength is already so unhealthy, in a weird way, is actually, it's sort of purifying him a little bit. Now, that's not to say that a big part of that wasn't just discovering the world is bigger than, he thought it was and more complex. And, he was humbled, of course, which I think was important. But I think he directly, as part of his experience, is something that I think is often underdiscussed, at least in my experience online, is that when he acts violently, when he exerts his dominance and exerts his power over other people, he is witness to the consequences sometimes. Well, some of the consequences, I should say. Erikson is actively writing about additional consequences. But I do think that impacts him. And I don't think that that can be separated from how he's changing. And maybe you could argue it's contributing to his... I don't even think it's why he's getting more powerful, actually. I was going to say is like typically that's kind of the arc you see, that like either people get corrupted or that it's like they get more powerful because they're more morally virtuous. And I feel that Karsa is unique in being a character who gets more powerful, and the more power he has, the more he actually reckons with what that power can do and how he should use it. And again, this is not to say that he's anywhere near being like a good, noble, amazing, woo, let's all root for Karsa character. But I do think that that is having an impact on him and actually changing him largely for the better. Not entirely, it's not a straight line, but I think it's having a beneficial impact overall.
Mhm. I wonder if him having all these people that follow him, in the sense those people, since they're not technically dead, they're like, witnessing his, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, instead of having living people sort of make him ascend and give him power, he has these dead people following him that do that for him.
That's a great point. Yeah.
I don't know if it works that way.
No. I mean, well, I don't know in terms of the power, like the kind of mechanics, metaphysics of it. But I think you're definitely right that thematically it's very intentional that he went out seeking like fame and glory. And it's the dead who are like the ones seeing his great feats. It's not really the living.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, that's interesting. The dead causing him to be more powerful. But both morally and mentally and physically, I guess. Physically, I don't know, maybe not, but the other ways probably.
It's worth mentioning too, I think, that like Karsa is very deliberately not an introspective character. We don't get him really thinking about things. If we get his internal thoughts, it often comes out in his dialogue, or we have to interpret his actions. That's not to say he never introspects, but it's much rarer than a lot of the other characters. Like Strings, for example, is like constantly thinking about how depressed he is, right? And that's not a criticism. It's just they're two very different types of characters, right? And if you think about that, then from like a kind of authorial level, you still want to have some glimpse into what's going on and what's impacting him. And the ghosts, the chains, well, and the change too, Freudian slip, is literally manifested, right? I mean, magic is metaphor. It's very literal here that he is actively haunted by these ghosts. And so even if we do not hear his thoughts about how that's affecting him, I think we would be remiss not to intuit that he is being affected by the fact that he is followed by ghosts everywhere he goes. And we know he hears them. That's how he's introduced after the time skip, is briefly recounting how he can constantly hear and feel the presence of all these ghosts. And how does that change someone?
Lots to think about. But on the subject of Karsa's thoughts coming out through dialogue, I think we had some really great discussion between him and his gods. By the way, I love that immediately after he completed forging the sword, he killed one of them. I,
Yeah,
it was one of
the
the
most
things I
Carson move.
remembered about that scene, and I was disappointed when it didn't happen in the last chapter that we read. That just brought us to this cave. But yeah, they talk about. I think the conversation he has with them is about the responsibilities of a god. They tell him that they just want to be worshipped, and that automatically makes them gods. And he says, and I think they also say something about guidance. But he says you didn't partake of your people's like sorrows, and you didn't help show any compassion when they were down. So you don't deserve the worship that you got, which I think also goes back to what you were saying, Carl, about the power making Karsa more is circumspect the right word? But
Yeah, I
and
mean, I think that is a right word to describe how it's impacting him. Yeah.
and yeah, so I think he doesn't want to be a god, but not well. At least the reason isn't that he doesn't want to be a god. We don't know whether he wants to be a god as such if he didn't have the associated chains, but he definitely doesn't want the chains that will come from being one of the cripple god's employees. So yeah, I thought that was a very powerful conversation. But Shannon, you had a related topic. They said something about death, victory over death in that same
Well,
conversation
yeah,
between
in
them.
that same section. I mean, yeah, all of it I think is like that whole section I just found was really interesting because the part where Carson was talking to him about like what is a God for purpose, because they're telling him like what was it? Yeah, they said the greatest of all truths. What do gods worship but perfection, the unattainable victory over nature's uncertainty. There are many words for this struggle: order against chaos, structure against dissolution, dark against light, life against death. But they all mean the same thing. And so he's talking about, beating death, really, is kind of part of what they're talking about there. And I think that's just a fascinating discussion about like order versus chaos, death and freedom and all these things. But also they're kind of pitching the crippled god as like some kind of third option. And I was kind of like, are they full of shit? Like, is this like I don't know. I think does he, from everything we've seen, does he, they say, oh, he worships imperfection, therefore he's somehow better. But it's like, well, yeah, but he seems terrible so far, like chaining people, like literally. Like, I mean, look at the guy in Memories of Ice, going back to that last book, the smuggler guy that completely, he ended up being like a leper and like, he beat death because that was what he was after. He made a deal with crippled god to beat death, and then he ends up, just this mutilated, awful leper. So it's like, what,
Yeah.
is that the third option? Life, but like terrible life?
I don't know. I mean, their arguments, just their arguments was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, right? It was like, I can see how this would be like, oh, accepting imperfection and be like, you don't have to be completely one way or the other one, otherwise there's always fighting. I was kind of following that, but then it kind of falls into a trap of a lot of these villains from books and movies in which they're like, okay, sure, they have a good argument, and then the next second they're just like randomly killing children or doing the most awful thing, and it's like, this doesn't align with what you said. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, sure, they might have a good argument, but they're still bad people. This is how I
Yeah.
feel about the crippled god. It's like, okay, this argument, I can buy it if you were a nicer person, you're actually doing it. I don't know.
These villains, that you're talking about, I mean, there are better and worse ways of doing it, but often it's because they take their own philosophies to the most extreme version of them. And so Karsa's is like taking the worship of imperfection, essentially meaning if you are not suffering to the max, you are not doing the right thing. You should be suffering in the way he is suffering and has suffered. I mean, that's literally Bidithal says that in later chapter when he's talking to the slave girls that he is brought into his cult. That, you know, in the afterlife, you'll get your reward. And the more you suffer, the more you will be rewarded. And I mean, I think there's obviously like allusions to a particularly horror-like version of Christianity, right? Where it's like just suffer terribly and you will be rewarded for, I mean, it's not just Christianity. I mean, you see it in Islam as well, and like, you know, I think a range of faiths. Buddhism goes there a little bit. It, the idea that like, you know, by suffering you earn salvation, when that's not really, you know, I mean, that's what he's saying. That's the crippled God's argument, right? And really it's just about, you know, when you worship it's not even about worshiping imperfection. It's about his pain and wanting other people to feel his pain because he's been alone with it for so long.
Yeah, because I
That's
can
what I
see
think,
like
too.
being, I don't know. It's like I can see like someone is, I don't know, maybe going through an illness and you're suffering or it's whatever. Like you can find positive things and resilience and very beautiful things from suffering. But then it's also like, okay, well, I'm gonna make you crippled so then you can suffer, and then like
Exactly.
that's not how it works.
Exactly.
Well, that's
What's a
what
There's
very
no
cruel way.
justice.
Yeah.
That's what I walked away with this. You know, they're saying they're putting it in this nice, you know, oh, he worships imperfection. He accepts you with your imperfections, but no, he wants you to suffer. Like that's what
Yeah,
the
exactly.
crippled God, you know, I mean, we know that he's chained. We know that's a thing going on. So it's like he wants pain. He wants, like, that's what he wants to share. So
We literally
I
know
think
he's trying to destroy the world, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
plot of Memories of Ice. So it's like he's not a good guy, right? Like but you know, he has
well,
I mean, it comes from this wound.
wouldn't people not be hurting if the world was just destroyed? Come on.
Exactly. There's no suffering if everyone's dead.
But he wants
Well,
suffering, so I
who
don't know
knows?
how that works.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially, yeah, right. With the afterlife, I mean, who knows what happens beyond Hood's Gate? And maybe you don't even go beyond Hood's Gate. You could get sucked into a sword and be stuck in that sword for theoretically all eternity.
Yeah. Or going to a jade giant. I don't know. I've reached people dead. I don't know. There could be. I have no idea.
That is a horrifying thought either way. One of the most like, that's like cosmic horror. It's just wild. The Jade Giant. Oof.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I
So
missed
while we're in
week's
this
discussion.
chapter, I did want to stop. You know, in the back half of it is the whole section where Carson gets his horse, the new
Hell
habit,
yeah.
and everything. But what I thought was really cool is we get a bunch of lore drop about Aquarium with this girl in the tree, Fearless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we find out that, you know, you know, it sounds like Aquarium attacked an Azath house to free his father. And then after that, he couldn't remember stuff. We don't really know all, but like, that's kind of what happened. And then, but he did kill the house, but like, it's still kind of dying. I don't know how that all works, but it's dead. But then also, and then, you know, sometime later, they speared this Jaghut girl right there where the house was. And I don't know, the house kind of merged with her and became a tree. And now is it her brother? No, it's not her brother. Her friend, Synagig, he comes along and pushes food down into her trunk where it apparently just rots. I don't know. Sounds gross and smelly.
Yeah, I love that section. That's so cool. I heard you say her name is that's how you say it, Fearless. I didn't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, that's so cool. But Yeah, I was imagining a tree with eyes and a mouth and everything, which I'm sure she didn't have. She was just speaking into his mind. But I was imagining a literal talking tree. But yeah, that did we know from Deadhouse Gates that Ikariam got the way he did from trying to save his father from a dead house?
I think we did learn that. We didn't
I
get
think
more
there
than
might have
that,
been an
but
epigraph that kind of mentioned it or
Mm,
something.
yeah,
was
because
it Gothos himself who said it? Because he appears at the end of Deadhouse Gates, doesn't he?
Oh, maybe.
oh yeah, they meet him, and yeah,
I don't know.
I forget how that
But this is where
exchange.
we get the whole story really laid out.
Yeah,
Yep.
and speaking of snarky Jaggeds, how cool was the other guy who was apparently just turning himself into a rock, who lived inside a freezer for a long time?
Yeah.
Oh, that was
I
brilliant.
think I
The
was
other guy wouldn't
wondering.
shut up. And like they kept commenting on it, how he just did. Like you
Oh
start to
yeah.
tell something, Carso's like, I'm sure you're gonna tell me everything.
I want to ask you guys, you don't think there's a lot of Jagged for... Because I remember at the beginning when I was started reading the series, I was like, oh, there must be, even if there are some, there must be so rare. Especially reading the parts with the planning massing, they killed almost all of them and stuff like that. But there's actually, like, we're encountering a decent amount. You don't think so? Or am I
Yes,
just...
but
No, yeah, for sure.
I
I
was
don't think that,
surprised too. But I'm thinking on it, the all of them we've met so far are really powerful
Yeah.
magically and have lived a long time. And in the case of our talkative friend, found clever ways to hide apparently. So
Yeah.
and we we've come across quite a few, but also they are isolated, right? Like we meet individuals. We haven't met a group of them, which I think is how they lived
Mhm.
even when there
Yeah.
were a lot more of them.
But there's no families, there's no children.
Mm,
We haven't
mm,
met a single Jagged
Mm.
that's not ancient.
mm.
Well,
yeah, I
except
mean,
for one
I
that was
think there
tossed
are,
into a portal.
I
Sure.
think there are dozens, if not hundreds, of Jagged left. So
Mm.
when you think in the grand scope of like a species, they are on the verge of extinction. But there are a lot theoretically you could meet. And I think the fact that
Yeah.
we meet so many is just down to the, basic narrative of it all, that like this is a story and that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Although they have a meta reason, right, which is convergence. So all these powerful
Mhm.
characters come together.
There you go.
True. Good point.
Cool. Next chapter. Listen.
No, wait. There was
No.
something here another thing I wanted to
Mm.
talk about. The horses coming to Karsa.
Oh yeah.
Is it... Am I inventing this? But is it a trope, or does it happen in other books too, that there's the hero that calls for the horses or something, and then hundreds of horses come? I don't know. I just feel like it's something I've read more than one or two other times. I don't know. I want
Maybe
to say Thomas
ChatGPT will know.
Covenant has it, but I don't know if other ones. So I was asking if everyone remembers other cases of this. It just, in my mind, it's like, oh, it's a trope. The hero calls and then hundreds of horses come.
I've definitely seen it before as well. I can't remember
guess-
where though. Maybe it's in like a myth. I don't know.
Could be a cartoon, maybe, like a children's. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just something in my brain that told me, but I tried googling it,
feels-
I couldn't find.
Yeah, it feels familiar.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Maybe it's just tickling that little myth part of your brain.
I think
that
it's
just, like,
something
feels these
about like
stories.
the animals recognizes something that humans don't, like some sort of nobility or power that humans are not able to because they're more pure or they're more, noble themselves. I don't know. I just thought it was
I don't think
interesting.
Malazan falls into that trope though.
No.
Like, yeah. I agree that they probably sense things that humans don't. I mean, they literally do. Like, they have different senses, but or more powerful and weaker in some ways. But yeah, I mean, clearly, well, aren't we given a reason why all the horses are attracted to him? They smell the blood oil, right?
Yeah.
In Karsa.
Yeah. I think, well, the Fearless offers that up as a thing, but Sinneging's like, really, you think that? She's like, it's the best I got. So
Right.
it's thrown out as an idea, but it's kind of a weak idea.
Mm.
It's just Karsa's BDE. It attracts all the horses. They respect BDE.
Yeah. I don't know. I just found it interesting. This four fingers, like, oh, it comes to my mind, but I can't remember any specific examples almost. Anyways. And
No, I
another
hear
thing
you.
about
That's-
Karsa, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna agree. Like it also feels familiar to me. Maybe it's like a historical fiction thing. I'm like trying to think of it now, like because it does. Now that you say that, like I feel like I've seen that before, but I don't know. Maybe you're Berenstein Bearsing me.
Maybe. And the other thing I wanted to mention, maybe I'm reverse engineering it, but I was thinking that about Karsa and about his, his other Toplakai spirits that talk to him. I wonder if it's also something that Erikson was like, oh, I want to be able to explain things through dialogue in these chapters, but Karsa doesn't talk. How do I get him to talk with someone when he's alone? And I wonder. Because
No, I
is very
think
convenient for us.
I think you're right. I mean, I don't know that that's the only reason, but I'm sure exactly. Like if you have a character who's not going to introspect, you need to put him around characters that will make them talk. Otherwise, it's just going to be action, description, action, and that can get a little dry.
Yeah. I guess in other cases, he can talk with other people when he's alone, though there's nothing.
Right.
I have to give a few authors who do that. Action. I
Yeah,
digress.
no, that's for sure.
What are you thinking about?
Oh, we'll talk later. There's a fantasy author that's pretty well known for their battle scenes. That it's just like battle scene and another battle scene, this battle scene and battle scene. It's like,
I want
okay,
to be real. I feel like
They
you
like to
could be
fight.
describing several authors. Like there are a lot of fantasy authors that just write a lot of battle scenes.
Mm.
I'm going to post a guess in the chat. You tell me yes or no, okay?
You probably know who it is, Marsha.
So next chapter. Are we ready for the next chapter?
Starts with a little bit of a Felicin reminiscing about Tavor. And
loved that.
Eventually she realizes that Felicin is Tavor is cold iron, which the soldiers are trying to explain to her, but they're just giving examples of people who are cold iron without actually explaining it. But she knows in her gut that Tavor is cold iron, and Fiddler has told us that she is too, so we know. And so Felicin is suddenly terrified that this is not going to be an easy win, as she has been told so far by Corbolordom's extreme complacence, as we see in a conversation he has with Kamistrello, which is like, yeah, that guy sucks, we're cool, we're gonna win this. And like, okay, where is all this confidence coming from? You're wrong about all of them.
Classic.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was such a scissor beats paper sort of thing. I thought it was more, it's just a temperament thing, and it depends what their skill is, and it's just a different way of doing things. But yeah, I was surprised that it was just like, oh, cold iron wins almost all the time. So
there's a little more nuance, but yeah.
Yeah, see, I thought this was actually earlier in the book when we saw cold iron. I didn't realize it was like back after the book we finally got the explanation for it. And yeah, I was like super excited to see this. And I like the idea that some people can go back and forth. They said was a Dujat can do that, and then they call out Karsa. Which I got a question is that true? Can Karsa go back and forth, or is he just hot iron?
No, I think he can go back and forth, I think.
Okay.
Maybe at the beginning of the story he's just hot iron, but I think he has cooled somewhat.
Basically means like cold iron is just thinking and hot iron is just a feeling. That's
Passion.
basically what it
Yes.
boils down to, right?
Passion versus reason. Yeah, cold reason.
Well, if you need something done in like a hurry, you want that hot iron. You want somebody that's, let's do this now. But if you want to counter to that, you want somebody slow and methodical and cold iron.
I feel that this is so I like this, and I actually love this scene. I think it is a phenomenal scene. Very impactful.
Mm-hmm.
I do think as an analogy, it doesn't always work because there are just so many different scenarios. Like there are famous generals, like people we think of as like all-timer generals who are like famously rash. Julius Caesar, famously rash. He did a lot of crazy shit that, I don't know that it's quite such a dichotomy, but I do think it is a neat little story to tell. And it does explain, I think thematically for this book, it's particularly impactful because of the differences between the two sisters. Like that's how I feel like it works most effectively, is illustrating their differences and the differences between the two forces, where the Malazan forces are very organized and, they have a lot of personality, but they're very mechanical about how they do their work. They get shit done. And then the rebellion is just, it's a storm. It's a whirlwind, right? The metaphor speaks for itself.
Yeah. I like that part where it was saying like, oh yes, we're the whirlwind destruction, it's hot iron, the hot of a desert, all this sort of thing. I was like, yeah, I'm into this. It just feels bad to then end it with saying, oh, we're hot, so we're always gonna lose to the cold.
Yeah, exactly.
It just feels a bit bad for them in a sense. But I guess Leoman, I don't know. Yeah, he is cold iron because he's like cynic and he doesn't really believe in the cause of rebellion. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure what he believes in. That's the thing.
It is unclear. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Heberic saw the coldness in his heart, and so he hates him for that.
He does seem to really like death. That's the kind of the philosophy he laid out earlier in the book. I forget if he's talking to Boric or Karsa. I want to say Karsa, where he's like, yeah, when you die, it's just like nothing. And that's peace. That's the perfect order. He seems very anti-chaos.
But I guess from other books also, like, I don't know, like Gruntle to me would be hot iron, right?
Absolutely.
And he's pretty strong, so.
Yeah. Yeah, for what it's worth, I don't even think the Malazan series, or the Book of the Fallen, falls into this dichotomy perfectly. Like, I think that there are times hot iron is extremely effective and maybe even beats cold iron. Although, I will say also Gruntle was up against hot iron for sure. Like the Panion, ironically, the Panion series used ice magic, but the whole horde of zombies, that's hot iron all the way.
Yeah. Anyways, that's a very cool scene, though.
What do you think? Is the crippled god hot or cold iron?
Hot.
The guy who turned a person into a leper for fun.
There's a lot of scheming, though. Scheming is very cold, right?
Well,
I don't know.
Apparently hot iron can scheme as well. Like that's Camus Rello and Corbeau Lodam are supposed to be hot iron, right? And they are scheming. They're just maybe not.
It's all about vibes, really.
It's vibes. It's all vibes. Vibes all the way down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
you
how
give
they
hot iron
explained
and
it to Pelicin. It's just vibes.
It's just vibes.
And Pelicin concludes, based on vibes, that Tavor is cold iron.
I mean, yeah.
Like,
It is true.
Felison has a certain type of smarts, and I think she's actually probably much better with people than Tavor is. But she is not. I mean, it's just not even fair. It's not even a comparison. Tavor is like literally a genius. Like, she is a child prodigy. Everything we've shown has indicated this. It's actually crazy.
Yeah,
She
she
was
was what was and well in this chapter she was what 6, 9 when she was
9, I think.
Hmm.
yeah 9 when she's acting out all these like big wars. Which, by the way, I saw that I don't know if you guys caught it. Crimson Guard shout out. That was
Yes.
that's related to them, the Devore family. But
Oh,
yeah. So, but yeah, it's just like a 9-year-old doing this. That's crazy.
Tavor was
However,
put
that's
on.
also in the same chapters, and I will say what Dan said a couple weeks ago has really stuck with me. And Felison Younger, just goddamn, she doesn't speak like a child, like ever.
mhm.
No, no, that shit drives
Like
me nuts.
especially this
Yeah,
chapter when she really just went all off on the Whirlwind Goddess. I'm like, wow, this is like a little child saying, all this stuff, which I love. By the way,
yeah.
we'll get there, but she definitely has it pegged. What's going on?
Yeah. There must be something else there. There must be some sort of magic going on.
With Felson Younger,
Relatively younger. I don't know.
I
The
forget
more I
who
read about her,
speculated.
I'm more like, yeah.
Yeah, but
I
someone
think so.
speculated that the Elder maybe is influencing her, that she has like some of Shaik's power within her, and it's like spread out. I don't know.
Maybe.
That annoys me. I am not a fan of how Felson Younger speaks.
No, yeah, no. Well, how she feels about the Whirlwind Goddess, I really don't think that she's got any power in her. Like well, she said it. Like, this thing doesn't care about us at all. We're all tools. Like,
Yeah,
the Whirlwind Goddess is, what we were just talking about. The Whirlwind Goddess is the epitome of hot iron. Like, the
Yes.
Whirlwind
Yep.
Goddess is just all of this, just rage and whatever. Just wants to use people and
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, we got some answers about Felison the Elder and the Whirlwind Goddess and how all that works, that she is actively possessed. She has been dominated, enslaved by the Whirlwind Goddess. We find that out when she enters Hiboric's tent, and
That was a sad scene, I thought.
yeah, really
When she
sad. And
snaps
I
out of
cannot
it.
believe, oh my God. He
Well,
He just
pushes her
shoves her
right
aside.
out.
You know what that reminded me of? That scene in Deadhouse Gates. She is told some information about something that's going to harm Heberic, but then she takes so much Durhang after that she gets in this fog and she forgets. All she remembers is
my
that she
God.
had something important to remember, but she didn't know what to do with it. This felt almost exactly like that scene where she got some important information about Felison, someone she cares about, and she could do nothing about it because her mind was immediately consumed by the Whirlwind Goddess when she went out.
That's excellent analysis. You're right that she traded one drug for another. The Whirlwind Goddess is just her new Durhang. Oh my God.
When you think she finally has some sort of agency, she doesn't really. She's still just a
Yeah.
puppet. She's trying
an
to control
addict.
things, but she has no. It's very sad.
Oh my God. She's an addict. That's crazy. That's a great point.
And as soon as she got clarity, she immediately went into her anger mode, not against Heberic this time, but against the guy who
Bowden?
Not Bowden.
The guy who slept with her
Yeah.
repeatedly
Mm-hmm.
in the
Beneath or
mines.
something.
I don't know. He sucks. I don't remember his name.
Yeah,
He's like a gang
the
boss.
guy on the Otodara Island,
Beneath
the guy who sort of took her under his wing, so to speak, but who basically took advantage of her repeatedly.
Yep.
yeah, she immediately remembered that and like had a lot of anger. So she hasn't even been able to process all of this. She's not recovering. She's not healing. She's just consumed all over again by this goddess.
Yeah.
Yet again,
But
Tavor
because
just
he,
making a bad
I mean,
decision. Felison was
if
so
you
not prepared for all of this.
if you think about it, she went to that island and got high and stayed high the whole time, and
Yep.
really had probably barely dried out before this goddess took her over. So she hasn't been clear minded since the prologue to House of Chains. Or I'm
Absolutely.
sorry, Dead House Gate.
Yep. She was
Yeah.
so not prepared for this. Sad.
And why did
And they gave her the
Haboric-
worst
Hmm.
father figures. Haboric is a terrible father.
Yeah.
Absolute failure
Yeah.
here. I love him. Don't get me wrong. He's like
No, he's a
definitely
dumbass.
top
Like
20,
he shoved her
maybe
out,
top 10
and then
characters, but he really, yeah.
he shoved her out, made her forget, and then he sneaks out, and you're like, oh, okay, he's gonna go do something about it, and that's what he's thinking. But then he's immediately like, oh, I can't do anything about it. I probably could have done something about it before I was a destrant. Oh well. And then he goes back home.
wanna ta-
It's like
Want
why
to
did
talk
he
about like
push her
poor
away?
parenting?
Okay.
All of
sure.
the people failing Felison Younger. Felison Younger has been failed so completely.
Mm.
Everyone around her failed her in a way that is hard to even comprehend. That not one person stepped up and prevented what they knew was wrong, or after it was done,
Mhm.
did something about it, but continues to enable this shit because they think it's politically necessary.
Yeah. I mean, that
Horrible.
was why
I'm sorry.
Lorik,
Go
I
ahead.
was like, I don't know. I thought he was cool at the beginning, and but then he did the same shit as everyone else. I was like, I'm not on, think he's that cool anymore. And Haboric too, like this
That's
chat
valid.
is like, fuck you, kind of. I don't
No,
know.
I think it's
When-
terrible. I agree. I don't think it's excusable. They could say, "Oh, we're just doing what Felison Younger wants us to do." No, she's a little
No.
girl who's just been traumatized, and she's been traumatized repeatedly her entire life. Like you know better than her. She literally doesn't know better. You do. What are you doing? It's ridiculous. You don't need but it's very human, right? Like you see this shit not to necessarily the same degree. You know, the stakes aren't necessarily this high, but people make up rationale all the time where they're afraid to disrupt the status quo or to incite conflict because, you know, they think they'll hurt something. They think they'll make the situation worse, even when it's like someone has to do something. And it's just a complete failure. Everyone around Felison the Younger completely failed her.
I mean, I don't want to make it too dark, but like, how many times in real life, like in cases of abuse, you're like, oh, they tell their parents or someone they trust and they don't do anything, or they don't believe, or they're like, well, this person is nice, or you know, I don't want to. He's maybe he brings money to the family. He's like an important person in the family or whatever, and they don't say anything. It's just, it's so
real.
sick.
It is sick.
Uh,
I mean, I think hopefully none of us ever have to encounter something as extreme as what Felison Younger has experienced. But, you know, that I think this is potentially the power of, you know, fiction and storytelling. I mean, it doesn't have to be fiction. It can be nonfiction too. But like being shown something that is so unjust and so wrong that, you know, hopefully if you're ever put in the position where you have the ability to do something, you know, you remember this and you're able to muster the courage to speak up and act. Because it's courage, right? It just takes courage, believing that you have the ability to do this and just that it's right and that it will work out. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be messy, but somebody has to do something. This goes back to Dead House Gates, right? Like, it's not just that children are dying, right? Like the famous quote, it's like children are being horribly harmed and abused. You know, that's the evils of history, like summarized, that we can't even protect the most vulnerable. But we
and
got
to
to
me,
keep
it's
trying.
also like the normalizing of this sort of thing. It's like, well, the whole world is shit, so why should I try to make things better? It is what it is. I'm not doing it myself, so it is I'm just gonna let
That's
it
the
happen.
Leoman mentality, though.
True. No, I'm not saying Leoman is good. I'm just saying it's cool the sort of tactics and the military thing that they're doing, like those sort of chapters. I don't think he's a good
For sure.
person.
For sure. No, I think he's a cool character. Don't get me wrong either. I like Leoman as a character. But he is like the ultimate cynic. That is how
Yeah.
he's positioned. Is like he's like a nihilist. I don't think
Yeah.
he's literally a nihilist, but he's almost there.
But for
He's
some
very
reason, it
close.
feels like at least if someone is bad, but he's consistently bad, he's somewhat better than someone that pretends to be good, but does a little thing that's bad. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yes.
Just because
If
it's
we're
inconsistent
gonna-
in our mind.
If we're gonna talk about Leoman, okay, so he technically shows up this chapter. I was gonna bring up Koreb, who we meet. The his soldier, and I was gonna ask, is part of the reason we like Leoman kind of like I mean, if you know Game of Thrones, you know, is it kind of like a Stannis Davos thing, where it's like Stannis is a character we don't really know him, but Davos we know and we love, and he follows this guy, and so okay, so we like this guy because we like Davos, and so we're seeing Leoman now primarily through Koreb's eyes, and Koreb is great. Like he just seems like a fun character. Like you know, he's just he's fashioned so far as like the most unlikely, lucky character that's ever existed. You know, he's
Bit of a
in these
comic
two
relief.
chapters. He's
He's a comic relief character almost.
yeah, he's comic relief in how he survives. Like you know, his horse rolls and he somehow falls off the horse, keeps his footing, and jumps back on a horse and rides off. Like that's ridiculous, but it's amazing. But so we're seeing Leoman through this guy's eyes. So do we like Leoman because we like the viewpoint?
Maybe. I also think it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right. There is something to that. Like that, absolutely. The Stannis example, I think, is a great example of exactly what you're talking about. And I think beyond that too, it's just Leoman is competent, and he is surrounded by incompetence, so he comes out looking better. Right.
Yeah.
It's the
I think
same
you're
reason
right.
why I like Lorik. Right? Is Lorik is surrounded by incompetent, evil people. And so he comes out looking pretty decent, you know, you know, just considering who he's surrounded by. I also do want to briefly say, while we're talking about Korab, he is straight up a Looney Tunes character. He gets into the goofiest shit. I had completely forgotten about hysterical scene. I mean, this series just really goes for it, where towards the end of these chapters, where we're getting the new sharpers and everything and the new crossbow, and the grenade gets thrown at him. He sees it. He grabs a helmet, puts it on top of the grenade, and then the grenade launches him up into the sky. He falls back to the ground, looks around, and then runs away. It is literally like the most Looney Tunes shit you have ever read. It's hysterical. I could not believe. I was like, oh my God. Freaking Erikson.
And then the cherry on that was Cuddle bitching about it later because he was the one who threw the sharper. And instead of being like, well, next time, don't try to be fancy, just stab him.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I also like that. I think Leoman or someone else is saying when he comes back, he's like, oh yeah, he's the last one. He must have been fighting or protecting people in the rear guard or something. Very funny character.
Ultra brave. Yeah. He's a hero.
Yeah, seems cool.
But I said this, and I said this in the forum earlier. I will say I'm very thankful for Koreb because I now finally at least have somebody on the rebel side that I'm now really for. Because Lorik, I like Lorik well enough too, more than well enough, but he's not really a rebel. Like he's just there,
right? Yeah, I agree with that.
Hanging out with him, like here we actually have somebody following Leoman, and Leoman. Yeah, I mean, like I like him, I don't like him. I mean, he's like I said, he's competent. I like him because he's competent, but Koreb I genuinely like because he's comic relief, but still I genuinely like him, and I'm happy that to have a viewpoint on that side I can now get behind.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Like that really made the next chapter 19 really flow better for me. Like having dual viewpoints that I liked.
It's just very hard to be on the side of a faction that has like Bidetol in among
Oh yeah.
them, you know?
But
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're but going to chapter 19 though, like if you have a battle where a guy you like is now on that side, you
Yeah,
want him
yeah.
to survive. So you're watching it, and you're like, oh, I want my buddy to survive. Yeah, which
Absolutely.
made the stakes better, made me more invested than almost any of the battles that were in Deadhouse Gates. Like all of those
It's a
battles,
good
I didn't
point.
really care about the rebels, didn't care about the other side, so I didn't have that connection.
That's a very good point. I'm just saying,
It
the
definitely
more I
makes it.
read about this
Yeah.
Bidetell guy, the less I like him.
I was gonna say that, like,
That's the coolest hot take I've ever heard.
Yeah. I think originally it's something like, oh, the more I read about this Hitler guy, the less I like him.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Man, this Bidetell's awful.
The Malazans, like, the more you learn about the Empire and, like, the horrible people running it, the more you're like, well, they make some good points, like, maybe they're not, like, all bad. Bidethal, though, he
Yeah.
gets worse and worse the more you learn about him. Like, we're in his POV, and we're like, this guy is actually even more evil than I thought he was. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's discuss this. So, all right. Nominally, the Whirlwind Goddess doesn't do anything about him because she needs him
Mhm.
on her side, I guess, because
yeah.
she
To
knows the
kill
others are
Febrile.
rebelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does she really, though?
I agree. She does
Because
not. It's stupid.
I don't think she does. Because, like, at the is it the end of this chapter where Febrile's like watching the sunrise, and she shows up and she basically reveals like she knows what he's thinking, like because he's
Mhm.
thinking like bad stuff about her, and she's like, oh, yeah, because he knows that she's drawing on the life force of all the people in the camp, and she's like, well, and then she kind of puts it another way so that it doesn't sound quite like that, but it's essentially the same thing. And it's like, oh, so she can literally read his mind. Like, she could just kill him, like, outright. She doesn't need to play this out.
Yep. I'm not convinced the political consequences are so severe that
No.
I mean,
I
part
think-
of
I
it is you
think-
like kind
I
of
think
have to
Fellowson
take
need-
people on like a good faith that they are trying to make this rebellion succeed. And the problem is they're all so fucking incompetent and backstabbing that there's no way this rebellion could succeed.
But none of them are
Like-
trying to make it succeed. They're all just backstabbing
That's
each
what I'm
other.
saying. And you just have to, that's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the premise that they need this balance of power is entirely based on the fact that they're going to all work together. They will find a way to make it happen where they will work together to defeat the Malazans. But the problem is everyone is more focused on fighting each other than they are the Malazans. Like, Shaik is the only one who's not like that. She's like the only one who just takes this shit at face value. Well, she doesn't even take it at face value. But she is like actively trying to destroy the Malazans. And the rest of them are like, yeah, we want to do that, but like also we want to kill everyone else while we're at it. And it's like you can't do all of those things. That's not how this works.
Do you mean Shaik is in
it's
Fellowson? Or
yes.
would you...
Well, both, yes.
Well, no, Fellowson is just using the rebellion to get back to Tavor. She's not really on the side, right? Even if she is just using in theory.
I mean, at least how she's talking about it, yeah, she's using it, but to like get vengeance. I don't think to get like, I mean, maybe that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Well,
They
yeah,
all
it's the
have
same
their
thing.
own purpose,
I mean,
right? I guess.
Tavor is the mother of the Malazan forces right now, right?
Yeah.
So you kill her, you kill Mama.
Yeah, but I guess once if Fellowson kills Tavor and she somehow has her own mind, she probably wouldn't continue this crusade with the... She would be like, okay, I'm done here. This is what I wanted to do. I don't know.
Well, I guess I wonder too, if confronted with Tavor, like, does she even really want to seriously hurt Tavor?
I don't think
I
so.
think she just wants Tavor to understand her pain.
Yeah.
It's like the crippled god that way. Except the crippled god is even more extreme because he actively cripples people.
Yeah.
So she knows that Tavor will be most hurt by her pain, right? That's how she wants to punish her, to let her live knowing what happened to herself.
Yeah.
That's
And I mean, I think there's some implication that she would physically harm Tavor, like torture her and, hurt her by destroying her whole army. But I don't know if Felisin herself actually really wants that. Like, I don't believe that she is that sadistic. I think that's more the whirlwind who actually just wants to destroy everything. Like, maybe some part of Felisin feels, I mean, clearly the fact that she like accepted the whirlwind the way she did, there is that spite inside her, but I just don't know that like she's not a lost cause like the whirlwind goddess is. There's
Yeah, I
there's
don't
a
know.
just
Like,
complete different scale.
which do you think that if she had the opportunity to reconcile with Tavor, she wouldn't take it? I don't know. It kind of feels to me like a bit she would. Like she doesn't just hate her. She sort of wants
Yes,
to believe that her sister cares about her, and if she actually
absolutely.
believes in that, then she would be, she
She
just wants
she
to be
would
loved,
probably
right?
be a bitch about it, but I think she does want to be back with her sister.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some part of her just wants to be like a girl again, you know? Like just wants to live a life, a normal life. Like I don't know that she really wants to be the goddess of this whole cult. Maybe she did when she first took the like accepted Shaik, but I I don't I'm skeptical that, I mean, talking about characters who lack a lot of self-awareness, like Felisin has never been very self-aware. She got
Yeah.
more self-aware throughout Dead House Gates, but it's kind of hard to be self-aware
I mean, she's a
when you're drugged
teenager
up.
going through
Exactly. She's
trauma
she's
and
a
yeah.
teenaged addict, traumatized teenage addict. Like I no, I think she absolutely, to me this is as much as anything just like self-destructive. Like
Mm,
she if anything wants to destroy herself more than she wants to destroy Tavor.
yeah.
But I think she does. She wants to go back deep down.
Yeah. I think like Felisin is a much more interesting character than initially. Like initially we were like, "Oh, she's so annoying and we all hated her." Sort of. I mean, I'm exaggerating. But she's become a lot more interesting, I guess, and a lot more deep, I guess, than before. Uh through like this book especially, I feel.
I think a big part of that is because one, she's kept at a distance in this book, so you can speculate more about what's going on inside her. But two, um, she's not in survival mode. You think in Dead
Mm,
House Gates, she's in survival mode the entire time. So of course she's horrible, you know? Like I'm not, saying excusing it. Like she is really annoying. She's really hateful. She does a bunch of really hateful stuff throughout Dead House Gates, but she is literally fighting to survive from the prologue to the moment she reads the Book of Drijna. And then that is the moment things change.
yeah. And she also, we see her like being caring towards Felisin the younger, and like now that she's in that situation, like she's way nicer to Habarik too. So yeah,
And she's not even in control. She's possessed by a goddess.
yeah. I don't know. The more I think of it, the more she's one of the most tragic characters that we've read up until now, because she's just
Easily.
yeah,
Easily one of the most tragic characters in the book The Fallen.
yeah. Feels
It is
bad.
so sad. Her story is it's crazy. Farsha, we haven't heard from you in a while. What are your thoughts about Felisin?
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. Agree, she's extremely tragic, and yeah, I think the little snippets into her mind we got. I think that early memory, something she said at the end, that broke me a little bit, um, because I think she talks about how when she was a child, she was obsessed with Tavor. I think she wanted some kind of attention from this big
Mhm.
sister who I
Of
I don't think she
course.
quite admits to admiring her, but I think that's what it is. Like she wants her to notice her and like her,
I agree.
but
Yeah.
but she's like, so this quote about what that meant. None of these thoughts were present in Felison's mind all those years ago. The obsession with Tavor existed, but its sources were formless, as only a child's could be. The stigma of meaning ever comes later, like a brushing away of dust to reveal shapes in stone. That is so beautiful and sad.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know if any of you all are like have older siblings, but I know that when I was a kid, like I worshipped my older sibling,
Hmm.
especially my older brother, you know, who I looked at as like, this is how you be a man. And like I grew up and I grew out of that. And I may still look up to him in many ways, but like we're adults and we have, you know, adult complex human relationships now. But like as a kid, and I didn't think of it in that way. I didn't think like, oh, I worship him. I want to be like him. But that is what I was feeling. I feel like that is so immensely natural. Like unless, I mean, because like, of course, when you're a kid, like you're looking for who are your role models. So you look to the people around you. The parents are the most obvious choice. That's the like kind of the most universal. And then the siblings are like the next thing if you have siblings, older siblings, right? And so I think it's completely. Of course, she really looked up and admired Tavor, right? And I think she did Ganos as well, but Tavor especially as the other girl in the household, like, you know, and the one closer to her in age. Ganos was off in the military, like, and we saw how she reacted to Ganos dying. You know, imagine, you know, Tavor wronged her. She did. Tavor, the biggest mistake Tavor has ever made was what she did to Felison. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's still going to be there. She's
Yeah.
still her big sister.
Yeah, I'm sure my younger brother still worships me. I'm pretty sure. I mean, most people that know me do, but
That's true. That's true.
yeah, I don't know if it's being big brother or not.
It's
Yeah,
really overwhelming sometimes, Dan. Honestly, talking to you, even virtually, it's just a lot to take in sometimes.
oh yeah, that's what people tell me. Yeah, it's a lot.
So today's the day everybody on this podcast has an ego trip, right? We started with Carl, we moved on to Dan. Shannon, do you
Yeah.
have anything to add to that?
I'm okay sometimes.
Very good for your self-esteem. A bit of ego trip every once in a while, you know.
I see. I don't know what you're talking about. My ego is hurt by the adjunct stealing my identity.
Yeah.
I went through ego death.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here, you talk about joyful union. I think we've talked about everything but that. So you take it away.
No, please. If I start talking about it, I think I may start crying. And even though the listeners can't hear me or can't see me, I don't want them to hear me crying. So please go ahead, Varsha.
How sad. Might be sadder than that Felison quote I just read.
It might be.
Anyway, joyful union. So a bunch of our Marines find some scorpions and they choose a champion for their squad. Gessler and Stormy was the third one, right? Was it Gessler, Stormy, and Fiddler? Who was the third?
No, it was some other dude, some other like guy in a squad.
Yeah, because Stormy's in
Yeah,
Gessler's
it's
squad.
the other guy, Borak or something.
Borat?
Borduk?
It's the other one. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's the third sergeant. We never really see that much.
They
Yes.
pick the biggest ones and they're sure that one of theirs will win. But Fiddler is off. Fiddler and Cuttle are planning something. We know that by some looks they exchange. And I love that that these two confidently pick the bigger scorpion, but when the time comes to what the contest, they know that they're being taken for a ride by Fiddler. They just can't figure out how. And then the scorpion, in what might be the coolest scorpion scene I ever read, not to mention the only one I ever read, except for the I don't know. Have you guys read about scorpions in other books? I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
haven't.
feel like in a lot of like movies from like the 80s
Mm,
where they like, and probably before that even, where they go to like the Middle East or something,
Yeah.
like there's always some scene with a scorpion. I swear.
mm,
And it's always gets like trapped under a cup. It's like a whole thing. Like I think that's in Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
mm,
it is.
Well, the Scorpion
That's
King,
the first
right?
thing
All
I thought
the
it was Indiana Jones.
okay.
all
I
the
haven't
mummy
seen
movies
any.
too. They have scorpions. But yeah.
I haven't seen any Indiana Jones movies. The closest
Really?
thing that I've seen that comes to this is all the Beatles and the Mummy movies,
There's scorpions too
and
in
I've
the
very
only
Mummy
good.
seen
movies.
one of them. I've only seen the first Mummy movie. I
The
haven't.
second
the
one,
last
right?
Scorpion
It's the
King.
second one. Yeah.
It's kind of amazing that I managed even that. But
Dwayne The Rock Johnson with the greatest CGI of all time.
Half a man, half a scorpion.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, believable. Completely believable.
It's a scorpion
Yikes.
centaur.
What?
Yeah, scorpion centaur.
Conceptually, that sounds
Yeah.
awesome. In execution,
It was pretty
not so
cool
much.
when I was a kid. I don't know.
Sure, that's fair. That's if you're a kid, it's pretty cool.
Even
Yeah,
those
Yeah.
I'll
battle
give you that.
scenes, like the CGI is garbage, but when I was a kid, that was
None of that
very
matters
cool.
to you as a kid, right? Your imagination is so big that who cares?
So he's half horse, half scorpion?
That's what it said. Wait, so is it a scorpion with a horse head or a
Barsha just
horse
won
with a
this
scorpion head?
whole
Yeah, that's the
conversation.
funniest thing anyone has ever said.
You said scorpion centaur, so I thought.
Half man, half
Yeah,
scorpion.
it implies a man torso over an animal body.
That is truly iconic.
Oh god.
Barsha, you have an amazing mind.
Yeah, thank you for that image.
Like, which half is which? Well, I have that question about the man scorpion too, but I think I'm more interested in the horse one.
I am too. I'm writing that down.
Okay.
I don't.
So anyway, this back to Joyful Union. The scorpion turns out to be two scorpions, or can it somehow break itself in half? I couldn't figure out which.
It is
But
too.
It true.
Yeah.
It's two, and it split off and killed both the scorpions, both of the other bigger scorpions in one
Mhm.
go. Also, the scorpion's species is bird shit. bird shit.
That's right.
And it's called that because it looks like its namesake. Okay, that's all. That was an excellent section, which I have to
Great
say,
scene.
when I read it the first time, I think I enjoyed it. Like, it got to a point where, of course, I enjoyed it. How could you not?
Mhm.
But there was a part of me that was like, okay, what is this about? What are we doing here? But now that I knew it was coming, I was looking forward to this scene the entire book. Every time we got a
Mhm.
Marines chapter or like the Malazan
Interesting.
chapter, I was like, is this the one? Is this the one where they get the scorpions?
I had forgotten about it, and then reading it, it instantly came back to me in vivid memory, and I was like, "Oh my god, this scene that's right. This is amazing." Actually, the reason I was originally wanting to talk about it was I feel very strongly that this must be foreshadowing. Like the thing that really tips that off to me is that one of the scorpions is named Clawmaster, and literally later that chapter they remind you that Lysine was Clawmaster. I cannot, though, even having read the whole series, for the life of me, imagine what it is foreshadowing. And I don't know if it's a good idea to talk about it without having finished this book, because I suspect it's foreshadowing something in this book. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just like a great scene. But knowing Erikson and how this shit works, like, I feel like it's got to be foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. I'm gonna say something very brave and very controversial. I'm gonna say I did not like this chapter. I
Oh.
actually hated it. And you know why?
Oh.
Because in a comedy section, I like my hero to fail. Like the comedy comes from failure. I don't like my comedic protagonist to succeed in a smart way. I want him to be the stupid one or to have a plan and not succeed. So I would want him to be like, oh yeah, I've got all this plan, and then someone else does the smart thing. To me, that's way more funny. But that's just my preference.
You know, I think I agree with you that it's funnier, but I love this scene. I don't know.
Okay, Carl, I wanna say in today's episode of What Stupid Thing is ChatGPT Gonna Say, I just
Uh-oh.
prompted it with, how was the Scorpion fight in House of Chains a foreshadowing? And I got, in House of Chains, the Scorpion fight in the prologue, when Karsa Orlong battles a giant scorpion in the Rapid Arena, is an early structural and thematic foreshadowing of how much of Karsa's long character arc across the series. So there you go. That's what it
That's a good
foreshadowed.
point. It's a good
Is that
point.
the origin of the Scorpion King?
Karsa's battle with him in the prologue. I don't know why
Yeah.
you don't remember this, Carl.
In an arena, no less, with a giant scorpion.
It's
Giant
crazy that I
scorpion.
just like blocked that out of my memory. I mean, I like must have blacked out reading that section. That's
It's
wild.
interesting, though, that it knows that the prologue is Karsa's story, though, and but he's like, oh, it must be.
picked the
I'm gonna put
prologue
it
with
there.
Karsa and nothing else.
Actually, the
Yeah.
prologue is Charles Singer getting
Yeah.
locked
I
to
get
a wall.
sure.
It's not even
Yeah, that's
Karsa.
the prologue,
Yeah.
I guess. I was thinking the first chapter. You're right. You're right.
Oh,
Oh,
Hmm.
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, you were so confidently wrong.
Oh my
That
god.
was pretty
I
beautiful.
love
I'm
that
not
it
gonna
just
lie.
goes with the premise of your question and then piles so much bullshit on top of it.
Yeah.
It could have said, no, it's not foreshadowing. No, it it wants you to know that it agrees that it's foreshadowing.
Yeah,
That reminds
AI
me
is-
where I recently I was reading this short story, and I did not really understand what happened at the ending. And I looked it up and I could not find anyone just the most basic synopsis of what happens at the very end. Like I was like, I genuinely have no idea what happened here. And so I put it in the chat GPT asking, you know, basically what the fuck happened here. And it proceeded to make things up, create new characters out of thin air, completely wrong names. And I kept reprompting. I'm
Wow.
like, no, this is not right. And I pushed it so far finally where I was like, I redid it and I was like, no, this very specific. I think what I said was like, the characters' names are this and this. What happened? One of them died. I need to understand what was going on there. And it finally, after like 5 prompts, gave me the correct answer where I was like, oh, okay, I think that makes sense. That actually, like, that lines up with what I read. It was crazy. I mean, it the AI, like, it can do some things very well. It's something that you're just like, you are truly making things up. It is wild.
Oh, and this reminds me, I did promise you guys last week I was going to tell you what ChatGPT gave me as the answer to what is something breathes, because that last section was something
Yeah,
breathes.
that's right.
And so I said, why is this called something breathes? And I don't have it on, but to summarize, basically it was telling me that the something breathes is the Hounds of Shadow that are trapped in the Azath house in Raraku coming to life. And I was like, okay, well, you got the Hounds of Shadow, well, the Hounds of Darkness, right, in a different section. But they're definitely not in the Azath house. There's no Azath house in the book. Or I didn't think, actually, technically, I guess it kind of was. But it was in the
maybe
Jagodan.
could those statues be at old as of houses or something? I could somewhat believe it, but I don't know.
Okay. I don't think so, but okay.
I don't think so either.
We'll go
But
with that.
Erikson says it's so in a future book. I could be like, sure, I could kind of believe it if you say so.
Yeah,
I
it does
guess.
feel like a thing that could be true. I agree with that. With like how Malazan is, like that feels like a Malazan thing, but I don't know about that one.
I don't know. That's what I hate about AI. It if it was a person, I would hate their personality because they're always so no, because they're always so sniveling and so just like
Yeah.
wanting to agree with you, just say yes whatever you say, and just lie to in a plausible way to make it seem like they know what they're talking. It just I
Do
don't
you
know.
use it to write code, Dan?
I've used it to write some very simple scripts.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
I believe it's good at that. My understanding is it is good at like basic coding.
Yeah, it's
But
all right.
yeah.
I when I give it examples, it does fine. When I ask it to do its own thing, standard problems, it does fine. Other times it says. So one time it added back a problem. It just like flip flopped between two things. Like, oh, I see, this is wrong, and then it put it in another place, and it's like, oh, I see, that is wrong, and then put it back where it took it out from,
Oh
and
my
then it
God.
kept flip flopping. I had to tell it, you did that already. Stop it. And it's like, you're
Stop that.
absolutely right. I did that already. And then it proceeded to do the same damn thing again.
This is
I
the
have-
problem is it doesn't
yeah.
learn, right? When people are talking about it's intelligent, like these are not like these models do not learn.
Yeah.
They're guessing, right?
Well, they learn if you retrain them. That's when they learn, not when
Right,
you're
right.
actually talking to them, I guess.
Yes, they're not learning in the moment like human beings learn in the
Yeah.
moment.
But I
And-
have to be honest,
Or
like,
animals
very
even.
recently at my company, AI suggested one of the head R&D guys a change which actually is going to improve our processing data capabilities by
That's good.
20% in a lot of areas. And it was just like, well, he didn't know that it could do it. And it was just a very simple switch of like a Python code to a C++ different code that was already
cool.
like an already existing library. It was, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For what it's worth, I'm not completely anti-AI. I just don't believe it is. I guess you would call me a skeptic that I don't believe it will do all of the magical things and magically make it so no one has to work anymore, and you know we'll have a perfectly efficient society, and resources will no longer be scarce, and everything will be beautiful.
Yeah. I just think
I
it could
don't
be
even-
much better at a lot of things. Instead of making pictures of writing code or whatever, being like, oh, a smart way of finding things on the internet, or I don't know, a better way of filtering data or finding matches between large data sets, between things that a human, it would be so complicated to do it in a normal way.
Yeah, there are
Instead of
certain
the
things that
bullshit
it'd definitely
that-
be faster. Clearly, though, analyzing books, it is not good at.
No.
But it does tell us what
Not even a
ants-
little bit.
what it
No.
told us what ants could mean in the what the symbolism
No.
of ants mean.
I kind of like this though, like as like becoming a tradition for page burners is like just inputting into ChatGPT. Hey, what does this thing mean?
Yeah. Just to remind ourselves how bad AI is.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
like we're Butlerian jihading ourselves. We're reminding us like actually we have to do the thinking because it will not think for us.
Yeah.
No. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, but I would be more interested in hearing, I don't know, Carl's completely wrong opinion on Lorik or someone compared to the maybe even better opinion than ChatGPT, more factual opinion from ChatGPT.
Absolutely.
You know?
I agree. I'm also more interested in hearing my opinion than ChatGPT's.
Yeah. We both agree then.
Depends
Wait,
on
did
the
you
day
get-
for me.
That's fair. That's fair.
Did you get all the Lorik love out of your system, Carl, or did you have more to
Yeah.
add?
No, I don't have anything to say.
Okay. And Dan, are you done with your Leoman? Leoman.
I didn't say much about it. I just said that those battle scenes were very cool, I think. There were
Okay.
the more interesting battle scenes in the last couple of books, at least since the Chain of Dogs, I think.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
actually, no,
I
I'm wrong.
agree. The
I'm
up
wrong.
close.
No,
No?
the last book had great battle scenes, but the best
Yeah, I was
battle
gonna
scene
say,
since
there
the
are-
Siege of Kazakhstan.
Yes.
There
Yeah,
you go.
Yes.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, so I was asking because I wasn't sure if we have covered those topics to your satisfaction
Yeah,
because those were your
we're done.
chosen subjects. But I think we've done it. We have covered everything about these chapters. Shall we do quotes?
No, one little thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love Gamut. He's
Oh
such
yeah.
a sad old man, and
Yeah.
he has no self-confidence,
Mm-mm.
and I I love him. I really do. I reading about him, I care for him, and I yeah, I don't
So
have deep thoughts about it.
I
I like him.
I have something to bring up on that subject. So with the Heberic Felison relationship, I'm starting to develop a theory that I think what makes Heberic a somewhat ineffectual guardian of Felison is the extreme guilt I think he feels about himself, or like just I think the lack of it's almost self-hatred I think that he has for
Oh yeah.
himself that
Oh yeah.
makes it so he's barely got the bandwidth to process his own feelings, so he doesn't have any to spare for Felison. And
Yep.
last week, Dan, since you weren't there, and I think Shannon, you weren't there for that either, I think Gamut seems to me to be a bit of a parallel to Heberic in that, like, he is to Tavor what Heberic was to Felison 2 books ago.
Hmm.
And so I feel like there's a repeat of that pattern again, where Gamut has so much, it's not quite self-hatred in his case, but it's a lot of I think,
Insecurity.
insecurity
Yeah.
and lack of self-esteem, which I think
Yeah.
makes him an ineffectual supporter. Like, I mean, like, he's not giving Tavor the support she needs because
I
of
agree.
how incapable he thinks he is, which may or may not be true. But if he, I mean, like, learning from Karsa, 70% of the magic is just thinking you can do it. And
Important life lessons from Karsa Orlong.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I don't know if I would like him more or less if he was more confident. Maybe if he was extremely competent too, I would like him more. But I kind of like how much he is kind of pitiful. But you're right. Like, he's not as good at his job in large part because he does not believe in himself.
Yeah.
And you would think, like, the fact that Tavor believes in him means that my thought at this point, with what we know of Tavor, is that, well, she probably has good reason to believe that you can do this job and do it well. So maybe you should just do your job and believe that you'll do it well.
yeah, she
If
doesn't
not
strike.
because of yourself, because she believes in you.
You have to know from how she treated her sister and her family that she's not the sentimental kind.
Mm.
So
Exactly.
if she's giving you an important job, maybe she thinks you can do it. Yeah.
So does that mean at the end of the chapter she believes him that he has no confidence in himself when she lets him step aside for medical reasons, and
Yeah.
they promote the captain
Kenneb.
Kenneb to replace him?
Oh, this is the chapter we got the epigraph.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
You
we
like
do
to
need to talk
reference.
about that.
Grub,
Grub in his
future
apparently
first sword.
future first sword of the late Empire. I mean, there's so much in that epigraph, because it's like, first of all, we're
Yes.
given there's
Yep.
Grub, but also the idea that the Empire is maybe nearing an end, because they refer to it as a late Empire within Grub's lifetime. So it's kind of like, well, how's that Empire gonna last? Or
Like it's gonna
since
be a super
Shadow
empire.
Throne's gone, is it destined to end soon?
I think the additional part of that too is, while it doesn't tell you exactly what is going to happen in the rest of the book, the fact that Grub grows up to become someone extremely influential and seemingly powerful,
Mhm.
it kind of implies, at least this campaign, there must be some success, right? Like to
I mean,
me, this is
he
like
has
the
to
opening of
survive,
Dune.
and he's only like what? How old is Grub in this? Like 5 or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like
So
he's a
yeah, like if the
little
army
boy.
gets wiped out, it's doubtful a 5-year-old's going to go wander off and become first order of the Thousand.
Yeah. And to be clear, I'm not saying that as like I think it's a flaw or anything. Like I just think it's like it's an intentional like kind of choice. To me, it I'll save the end discussion, but um, I feel that this book is structured in a very specific way, and that this adds additional credence to what I suspect.
Technically, though, even if they're losing battles or campaigns, usually it's not like they're all gonna die. Maybe like 10% or usually die. Then that's a lot in battles.
Sure, but like thinking about this rebellion historically, is that how they treat the losers?
I guess. Yeah.
Like I get the feeling that the whirlwind would be happy to wipe them all out if
Yeah,
they
no, I
lost.
mean, and Deadhouse Gates, they were pretty much everybody wiped out that didn't make it into Aaron.
I mean, theoretically, Grub could be a refugee and just like barely survive. That certainly could happen.
But it's not setting up. Like a lot of things, but everything is pointing towards one thing. I agree with you. Even other.
Yes, exactly. There's like we're giving repeated reasons to believe things are going to go one way.
Yeah.
Like repeatedly over the course of this book. So yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Probably for the best. I would say.
Yeah. Quotes now? Or anyone have other thoughts about Gamut or Grub?
I have a quote that could lead into a little bit of a discussion.
Let's
if
do
we're
it.
ready to go into quotes. Because one of my favorite things is when your buddy Lorik is talking to Shaik, he's telling her how Corbolo just shoots down discussion and all this stuff, and then he quotes Dasimultor, which I thought was a great quote. He said, Strategy belongs to the commander, but tactics are the first field of battle, and it is fought in the command tent." And so we get this idea that Dasimultor had this idea that the discussion, basically, that there should be a discussion, tactics should be discussed amongst the leadership and then implemented. I don't know, any ideas or just a good quote?
I think it goes back to that thing we kept hearing in Deadhouse Gates about how the Malazan soldiers think for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one follow-up question I had to that is, why didn't the soldiers then refuse to do what they were told when they were asked to surrender by Permqual, right? So it's not that the thinking ability extends to the point of rebellion. It's more that they're allowed to engage in tactics, I think.
Adapt.
Like
they can adapt.
Yeah. Like they're not supposed to blindly follow. They have to adapt on the ground. And we've heard variations on that from some of the soldiers too. And someone gave, I think, Gamut snark for expecting blind obedience to what the adjunct says at some point. So I like that. I like that idea as a whole.
I mean, I would say we saw that in chapter 19 to a certain extent, a certain amount, where that the one stronghold was being overrun, and everybody got wiped out except 4 soldiers. But Gessler and his team, they adapted. They saw this is where it was going bad, and they went over, and then they saved Gamut and stuff after his horse got blown up, or maybe they blew up his horse. I guess technically.
Yeah. I have to say though, to me, the more I read about it, the more I think that the real reason the Malazan Empire is so successful militarily seems to be the moral munitions. Like, if I think about it, so many fights, they're really only winning them because they have these explosions that nobody else has.
Did they have them the first time they were in 7 cities, though? Do we know this or not? Because The Moranth we know
They-
are in Getabacchus.
I don't think so.
And I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
don't-
they would have had them until they
But they had the
hooked up with.
Mass at that time.
Oh shoot!
Right.
You're right.
And
Yeah, they
but-
they did have the
but-
Platinum Mass.
well, yeah, that's its own kind of nuclear weapon.
And they had Dasamoltor, who was apparently amazing.
They definitely
Yeah.
didn't have the Moranth ammunitions, though, because that is a new introduction into warfare in Gardens of the Moon. I believe it had
Okay.
been introduced either in that book or slightly before that book in the Black Dog Forest campaign.
I'm just
Okay.
saying, if they didn't have them in these last 4 books, I don't think they would have been nearly as successful as they were. I think.
I mean, I agree with that. Clearly,
I can't
it's
disagree at all.
saved them quite a lot.
I mean, it's a way of giving magic to your kind of common man in a battle
Yep.
scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's pretty rare to have, like, the powerful sorcerers seem to be pretty rare. Most of them do
Yeah.
very minor things.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, because you think, I mean, the rebellion has what, 3, 4, 4 big sorcerers. That's it.
Yeah.
And then actually, now that I think about it, the 14th has what? Just Nether and Nil? Is that it? I mean, really?
Yeah.
At
I
least
mean,
as
they
far
have
as we know.
cadre
Bottle.
mages, but they're less
They have
powerful,
Bottle.
right?
Yeah, they got some cadre mages, but we don't know how much they can really do. But there's, but the big powerful ones, none.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
However, they do have cussers, which can probably kill as many people as a big powerful soldier or
Yeah.
soldier.
We still don't know why the Moran allied with the Malazan, do we? I think we discussed it in the first book too.
I don't think
They talk about it a
yet.
little bit, but not really in detail. I think it was just
Not
kind
the
of like a
why.
mutual agreement. Yeah.
Yeah, they came to some kind of mutual agreement.
They
I don't
wanted
think
some
we've
revenge on some
Yeah,
people
sure.
in Pale. I think they went and killed a certain number
Mhm.
for
I
revenge.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Oh,
just
that's
seems like
right.
the Malazan
They
are
did
getting a
mention
lot
that.
more out of a deal than the Moran. But I guess we don't know
Well-
the terms of a deal.
But the Moranth haven't been conquered.
Yeah.
So they have kind of the classic Imperial, like, if you just like work with us, we won't actually conquer you. We'll let you kind of do your own thing. You'll just kind of be a part of us, and, maybe pay a little money and give us some explosives.
I guess. I don't know. I just feel like if you have explosives and you also have helicopters, which allow like long range supplies and transport and stuff like that, like they're already very powerful. Like that's
Yeah.
such a huge advantage compared to any other, army at the time. So unless we have some other, maybe they don't do magic. Maybe that's their negative that they can't do magic. I don't know. Yeah, they can they do magic?
We haven't seen if they can. No.
I don't know. I wonder because isn't there which one is the race that can't do magic? There's a race that can't do magic, right?
The
Or something?
Tobakai.
Yeah, aren't they
'Cause
connected to the
they have the-
Tobakai?
The blood
Oh,
oil
yeah.
has Odotarl in it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's why they can't do magic.
You're right. Correct. Anyways, just wanted to point that out.
No, I mean, yeah, you're right. I think that's true in a lot of history. You see a lot of like sometimes tactics wins battles, wins war, and sometimes it's just who has superior technology or who has the better, in the rock paper scissors fight of it all. Who is the better? I think like Agincourt, like the longbows were particularly effective against the French army.
I'm just saying they got very lucky.
Yes,
They have
yeah.
a very good advantage. I think even Cora says that it's like I wish we had those spins, right? Or even these. I think he even says that like these crossbows is like they're way better than the ones we have or something like that.
I think you could say then the deeper truth is not just that it's lucky they have those explosives, but that the secret to their success is their ability for diplomacy. That a lot of these other societies they're encountering, like Seven Cities, are not as effective at doing. Like Darujistan is, and that's why they managed to hold out. They also have a bunch of powerful mages, but it is the ability to make that deal making where you get those Morinth munitions is crucial, rather than being like the whirlwind where they're all, trying to eat each other. Varsha, quotes?
Oh, I have one about Gamut, but we've sort of veered away from the subject. But we'll go back to it for a second. I think, I forget who this is. Yeah, I think it was Fiddler. He said he knew since the first thing that an old soldier put away was his nerve, and that was the first thing that an old soldier put away was his nerve, and that was hard, if not impossible, to get back. About Gamut, who, I mean, this is followed by Gamut basically being in a bit of a brain fog from when he rides out to battle. So there seems to be some truth to it, at least with respect to Gamut. But that sounds so true, though. Like when you've done something that's really difficult, you work up the nerve to do it, and then you're done. You feel like you never have to think about that again. So it's hard to remember how you were ever that brave in the first place. I mean, like I've felt that about really small things that I did when I was younger. Being a soldier, I can't imagine. So
I mean, you can think about it. Have you ever gone back and tried actually studying for a test now that you're an adult after stopping? It's so hard
yeah.
compared to when you were like university or high school or whatever, right? It's just very hard to get
Yeah,
back
you
into
get into
things.
habits. Yeah.
But I also agree, like Gamut, I don't think he's cut out anymore, be honest, to leading soldiers, because you need to have at least some amount of callousness of being willing
Yeah.
to trade your soldier's life for your, victory, which I don't think he has. I think he cares too much now.
Yeah. I agree with
Which is
that.
good.
Okay. I had that Fellison quote, and then that was it, I think.
Yeah, I have
Oh.
no quotes.
Oh, I have a little. But Korab knew one thing. For Leoman of the Flails, he would give his life.
Good for him.
Oh, and this one was brilliant too. Who was this? I think this was Lorik to Shaik. He expects the Malazan army to march up to be slaughtered, as if by will alone he can make Tavor foolish or stupid.
Classic Lorik banger. 10 out of 10. No
Sure.
notes.
Sure.
Oh, and this. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say anything.
And this is Fellison about Tavor. Punishment belonged to the living, after all. The sentence was to survive, staggering beneath the chains of knowledge. A sentence not just of living, but of living with. That was the only answer to everything. Sorry to get
That is a good one.
as we end.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. That's
One
all I
I
have.
had.
Yeah.
I had one more. And it was take us back to the beginning of our discussion with the idea of Parsa growing and whatnot. I did actually have his quote to the seven, where he tells them, "You are not gods," and then we are. Urugal replied, "To be god is to possess worshippers. To guide them," Sabal added. And then "You are wrong, both of you," Karsa said. "To be a god is to know the burden of believers. Did you protect? You did not. Did you offer comfort, solace? Were you possessed of compassion, even pity? To the Teblor, Talani Mass, you were slave masters, eager and hungry, making harsh demands and expecting cruel sacrifices, all to feed your own desires. You were the Teblor's unseen chains." And then his eye settled on Sibal. And you, woman, Sabal the Unfound, you were the taker of children. And then that'll lead up to him killing Sabal. But yeah, I
And
really love that quote, and I do think, yeah, I mean, I think Carl is quite right in, as Carson becomes more powerful, he sees the burden of power in a way that
Exactly.
these IMAS never did.
yeah, he goes on to say something about how even like Sybil justifies taking the children by saying they were imperfect, and he says no, that the parents didn't think so, or they regretted them
Yeah,
anyway.
a parent's
So
love, they still deserve a parent's love. Um,
yeah, cool. I think we'll call it there unless anyone has anything to add. No. Okay.
Nope.
Next week, we'll have 2 chapters to read, chapters 20 and 21. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.